Carolina, why don't you give me a little background again about what you've been able to do this summer since what last we met?
Right, okay, Mark, sure. So I collected all of the syllabi that I felt could benefit from revision based on the module Academic Literacy for English Learners, focusing on adolescent content area literacy. So I've reviewed them, and this is my first meeting with you, and to prepare for the meeting, I've collected a copy of your baseline syllabus, so the syllabus that you were using up until now, and I've started to make notes there as you can see. I then decided to use the track changes feature and record those, so on your copy you have those. So in the binder that I'm keeping to collect all the documentation, I'll have a section for the baseline syllabi and then the syllabi with annotations, which is the copy that you have there. And so I've also collected resources that I think would be helpful to the faculty to consider as they're planning to make any revisions to the syllabus.
Well, what I think might help complete out your binder, and let me, if I understand it properly, you'll have the baseline syllabus for each particular course in the program where you see there's opportunity to insert the content area reading and other kinds of reading development exercises, particularly focused on English learners. You have their baseline syllabi. You'll then have the syllabus as it includes these marginal comments that you provided with suggestions and recommendations in each instance.
Right.
Now, after I receive this and you review it with me, I can then move forward and actually adjust my syllabus based on your suggestions, and then that could be the third piece in your binder.
Okay.
So you have the baseline.
Right.
You'll have the syllabus, baseline syllabus with marginal commentary and notes indicating to me the suggested changes and resources to be used in making those changes.
Okay.
I then take your input and modify my syllabus reflecting your suggestions. And then that would be the new revised syllabus to complete the cycle of activity.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. So that'll be the third section with the modified syllabi from each faculty member.
Now, in this particular instance, you suggested to me that it might be appropriate to teach my students the use of an anticipation guide.
Correct.
And I'm unfamiliar with that particular strategy, but your quick overview suggested to me it's a really powerful tool. Could you, for the help of everybody understanding, guide me through that process one more time?
Sure. So here's a blank template of an anticipation guide that I got from Rothenberg and Fisher, Teaching English Language Learners a Differentiated Approach. And basically it's a way to pre-assess, for students to self-assess their own opinions and information about a particular topic. So in the way that I've used it, and I'm thinking specifically of Ed 616, the literacy course in the 617, where we use a set of informal assessments, the Taking a Reading resource that we use. At the beginning there's a short article on assessing English learners, and it's divided up into about 8 sections. So I take a statement from each section and I write it into the column under statements. The statements include things like English learners learn the second language following the same process as the first language. English learners can be assessed in the same manner as native English speaking students, and so forth.
There are a set of assertions, really.
Assertions, yes, exactly, based on that article. And you see over here, there's 2 columns here labeled with an A and a D for agree and disagree. So the first few minutes before I assign that article, I ask students to read through the statements, indicate whether they agree with the statement or disagree, and then they're given time to read this short piece, about 10 or 15 minutes in class. After they've read the article, then they go back. I start with them going back and rereading each statement and having them check to see if their opinion about the statement was actually aligned to what the article said. So at that point they can revise their statement, or we have a discussion about that particular statement, and then they continue reviewing each additional statement and checking to see if they agreed or disagreed and if that aligned with what the article included. This is a way to then help them to access their own prior knowledge, reevaluate maybe statements that they believed about the topic that were incorrect, or also affirm them and validate those statements that they agreed with and that they were correct about. And so this type of an anticipation guide can be used before the reading of a particular chapter in a science text, or before an experiment of some sort, or as an introduction to a unit, for example.
Sure. So it allows for the close analysis of different kinds of text that are going to be used in a particular course that somebody might be teaching.
Right, right.
And you model it originally by having some statements from the Rothenberg and Fisher text on teaching English language learners. But then, for instance, in my class, I might choose to do that by looking at some particular guideline that might be a policy statement about what constitutes quality in the science curriculum.
Right.
For instance, the National Research Council just promulgated their policy to guide the development of national science standards. So that could be used in that exercise, in an exercise in my class. And then they would be asked to come in and show how they had done the same activity using text for the courses they're teaching in their secondary schools.
Yes, that would be very appropriate, Mark, because then you would be modeling the strategy using a text that's appropriate for your class. Well, yes, that would be a great idea of a way to incorporate that.
So you have made marginal notes to the syllabi for the 2 literacy courses also?
Yes.
And that's the 616, 617?
Yeah, actually I'm focusing on the 617 because that's the second semester of literacy instruction, and we touch upon issues of literacy for adolescent students as well.
Okay. And also, I'd ask that, you might take a look at mine.
Yes.
Which you did, and I appreciate it, and that's great. So that I have that to go with in terms of making revisions to my syllabus for my secondary science methods class, which I teach on Wednesday evenings. I think at some point in time, we have to think about formalizing this. In that the faculty of the department should understand this process and see the suggested changes, and then I could propose that the curriculum committee or the department acting as a curriculum committee approve the changes to the course.
Right.
Because we're now moving to a conventional structure at the campus where we're going to have a department curriculum committee, a college curriculum committee, and a university curriculum committee. And I think course changes are under the purview of the department.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, what level we would need to, okay. And I was thinking also that perhaps we should, when we convene that meeting, Mark, that maybe at that point then, would you suggest that it would be kind of on a, taking one course at a time, or considering changes for several courses at that time?
I think we might do it with some efficiency by waiting until such time that folks have had a chance to make adjustments to a set of courses reflecting the work of a particular term, and then we could just review what the changes were that were accepted by the faculty member in each instance, and then do a blanket approval across the board of all of them. Unless, of course, somebody objected to one particular course, something of that particular nature.
Yeah, since there's several CAMs, I know Dr. Kathy Draper Rodriguez is working on her changes as well.
Exactly, exactly. And she has already provided me with revisions to my class, and she used a text box to put entries, so marginal notes, text boxes, whatever. It works the same. It serves the same purpose.